Location: Buckingham Palace courtyard. 10 a.m. The morning unfolds like any other. A light breeze grazes the courtyard. Tourists begin to gather, clicking photos, giggling, stepping over ropes despite warnings. A guide recites the history of the Queen's Guard. Among the guards stationed is Corporal Edward Thorne, 41, known for his discipline, perfection, and unshakable posture. His eyes, though still, see everything. And this morning, something feels off. Location: Mall Road crosswalk. Visible from the courtyard. A small group approaches the edge of the barrier. Among them is a young boy, around 9, with dark glasses, holding a stick, and pushing his grandfather's wheelchair carefully. The grandfather, frail but proud, wears a faded military medal around his neck. People notice, but no one helps. They wait at the crosswalk. A black luxury car slows down nearby. It doesn't stop. The man inside scoffs and parks directly in the crosswalk zone. He exits, slick hair, expensive coat, air of entitlement. The boy tries to navigate the curb. The man, annoyed, waves them off. "Man, not my problem. You're blocking the view anyway." The wheelchair gets caught. The boy struggles. The man lightly shoves the wheelchair to the side. The crowd gasps, but no one steps forward, except for Guard Thorne. His hand twitches. His jaw tightens. But his feet? Still rooted in place. Inside Thorne, a battle brews. He recalls training. Do not move. Do not react. Not even in chaos. But he sees the old man's medal, the same kind his father once wore. He sees the boy's silent plea, barely audible. Boy whispers, "Can someone help us, please?" The man smirks. The crowd films. The guard still doesn't move. Yet. The man steps back and raises his voice. "Man, move your junk out of the way before someone trips." He kicks the wheelchair lightly, enough to knock the old man's medal to the ground. It clinks on the stones. Time freezes. Thorne's body reacts before his mind can stop it. He steps forward. One single boot. The crowd gasps. Phones come out en masse. A guard just moved. Unprovoked. Thorne bends down, picks up the medal, walks straight to the boy, still holding formation posture, and kneels. He clips the medal back onto the old man's chest. Thorne, softly, "You served once. Let me serve now." Location: Buckingham Palace courtyard. Moments after Thorne's movement. Silence floods the courtyard, thicker than the crowd itself. Every phone is recording. Gasps. Whispers. Shock. Corporal Thorne, having just broken centuries of protocol, stands upright again, his chest still rising from the breath he dared to take. The man who kicked the wheelchair chuckles arrogantly. "Man, is that it? You bent down to pin a toy on a relic?" He turns to the crowd, spreading his arms like a performer. "What's next? Is he going to sing?" But the crowd isn't laughing. They're watching. Not just him, but Thorne. with a reverence usually reserved for fallen soldiers. The boy grips his grandfather's hand. His lower lip trembles. Boy, quietly. "Thank you, Mr. Guard." Thorn doesn't reply. He can't. His orders haven't changed. But he lowers his eyes just enough for the boy to feel it. He's not alone anymore. Sirens. A palace supervisor arrives within minutes. So does an officer from the Royal Guard Command, Major Brixton, tight-jawed, eyes already filled with disappointment. Major Brixton. "What did you do, Corporal?" Thorn doesn't speak. Behind him, tourists shout, "He did the right thing!" "That man shoved an elderly vet." "I got the whole thing on camera." The supervisor gestures for the man who started it all to step back. "Supervisor?" "Sir, I need your name." Man, scoffing. "Do you even know who I am? I'm Lionel Densley, MP's son, and I'll have all of your jobs before noon." The tension turns from heat to ice. Thorn is ordered to step back. "Major Brixton," low voice. "We'll speak in chambers. Now." As Thorn walks away, the old man in the wheelchair salutes him. Weak, trembling, but proud. Thorn, breaking another rule, returns the salute, and the entire crowd claps. Inside the cold brick of Wellington Barracks, Thorn sits at a narrow metal table. Across from him, Command Panel, Regulations Officer, and Major Brixton. Regulations Officer. You are aware that any deviation from post during active duty is grounds for dismissal and court-martial. Thorn. Yes, sir. Regulations Officer. Then explain why you moved. Thorn hesitates. He clenches his fists. Memories flash, his father's uniform, the funeral, the folded flag, the silence of duty. Thorn, because he couldn't stand up for himself anymore, and no one else would. Silence. Major Brixton's eyes flicker. Not anger. Something deeper. Brixton, quietly. And what about your oath? Thorn. What good is the oath if it stands between a man and his humanity? Location. Online. Everywhere. Next morning. The video has gone viral. 12 million views. Thousands of comments. The guard who knelt trends globally. Veterans post their medals. Kids draw pictures. Celebrities praise his courage. But not everyone is pleased. The Ministry of Protocol issues a statement. While we respect the values of compassion, guardsmen are expected to adhere to strict ceremonial standards. Deviations risk the integrity of our traditions. Backlash ensues. Headline: He showed more honor than Parliament. Now they want him punished. The old man's granddaughter starts a petition. Reinstate the hero guard. Let compassion be tradition. It reaches 1.2 million signatures in 48 hours. But the panel's decision looms. Thorn may be dismissed permanently. 2 days before the ruling, Major Brixton receives a hand-delivered envelope. Inside is a crayon drawing. A boy and a guard. Stick figures. Big smiles. And a medal in between. It reads, Dear Guard, you helped my grandpa more than any medicine. He says he's proud to have served if it means people like you still exist. I want to be like you when I grow up. Eli and Grandpa Tom. Brixton reads it twice. His hand trembles ever so slightly. He tucks the note into his chest pocket and walks out of his office, not saying a word. Location: Royal Military Courtroom. 3 days later. Rain pours outside like the sky itself is tense. Inside, a grand hall lined with golden insignias of service and centuries of military history sits filled, unusually so. Journalists, officials, veterans in uniform. At the front, Corporal Edward Thorne standing alone, upright, still as ever. On the left, the ministry's prosecutor, sharp, well-spoken, emotionless. On the right, Major Brixton, unexpectedly seated behind Thorne as witness, not prosecutor. The panel of judges appears. Silence descends like a curtain. Prosecutor, your honors. The matter is not about morality. It is about protocol. The integrity of our national tradition relies on one thing: absolute discipline. Corporal Thorne moved without authorization. That is grounds for expulsion, regardless of reason. Thorne stands still, his face blank but jaw tight. He doesn't plead. He accepts. Until the prosecutor calls a witness, Lionel Densley. The entitled man from the courtyard saunters in. Groomed, confident, arrogant. He sits, smirking. Prosecutor. Did the guard threaten or touch you? Densley. He didn't touch me, but he broke formation and encouraged public disobedience. The room murmurs. The judge calls for silence. Then Major Brixton stands. Brixton. Permission to address the court? Granted. He steps forward slowly, hands clasped, shoulders square. Brixton. I have served 28 years in Her Majesty's service. I've watched soldiers rise and fall. Some followed every rule and lost every shred of humanity doing it. Corporal Thorne broke one rule, but in doing so, he may have saved the soul of this uniform. The prosecutor rolls his eyes. Prosecutor. Emotional appeals have no place in court. Brixton, quietly. Then maybe court has no place in humanity. One of the judges interrupts. Judge. We received a letter from a civilian. It was accompanied by over 1 million signatures. May I? The envelope is opened. Inside, the drawing. Gasps ripple across the courtroom. Judge reading. Dear guard, you helped my grandpa more than any medicine. He continues. Densley scoffs. Densley. Are we seriously deciding military discipline based on a crayon drawing? The judge fixes his stare on Densley. Judge. Sit down. Then he turns to Thorne. Judge, do you have anything to say for yourself before the ruling? Thorne finally speaks. Thorne. Yes, I did what I wasn't supposed to do, because I saw a man who once fought for this country, being treated like he didn't belong in it. I stood for him. That's the only tradition I care to protect. The judges deliberate for minutes, but it feels like hours. Then, Chief Judge. This court finds that while the breach of protocol is clear, the reason behind it carries greater weight. Corporal Edward Thorne will not be dismissed. Instead, he is hereby commended for extraordinary moral courage under ceremonial constraint. Applause erupts. Veterans stand, reporters cry. Densley is already walking out, defeated, not by a court, but by a crowd that finally saw what honor looks like. Outside the palace the next morning, a massive crowd gathers. Children with posters, old veterans in wheelchairs. The boy, Eli, stands again by his grandfather's side. Thorne returns to post. As the band begins to play, he holds his ceremonial rifle. But this time, he glances at the crowd. He sees Eli. The boy raises his hand in a salute. Thorne, still in full formation, winks, and then breaks protocol one last time. He lifts his hand, returns the salute. The crowd doesn't cheer. They stand in silence, respectful, moved, changed.